welcome Twitch stream. How we doing out there? You know there's a comment section. Please join us. I am Banks with KitBash3d, and I am super pumped to bring Nick Hiatt back to the game with us. What up, Nick?
How's it going, everybody?
So, I'm drinking green tea. You got anything there?
I got a little coffee. It's number 2 of the morning, so I'm almost human.
Very, very famous instant human. Just add coffee, Nick Hiatt.
Correct.
Well, sweet. We got a group of people here in the chat room with us. As you all know, let me know if you can't hear us, any technical difficulties that you get from us. And we want your comments.
Yes, please do. Chime in. That's what makes this whole thing go around. It's about you, not us.
Infinite Divide says, "What's," spelled W-U-T-S, "that hippie bullshit on the wall." And Lucas says, "Coffee for the win." Give me a hug. Says, hey, and Kalina's here. So is BNQP. Good afternoon, folks.
Hey, everybody.
Well, sweet. Anyone out there, what do you guys drink? You guys drink coffee? You guys drink green tea? Also, tell us what time zone you're in. What do we got? What do we got in this room? Who's here with us? I want to know. Is it morning for you guys? Is it evening? We've had on this stream in the and Dork076 back at us says, "I dig that wall, yo."
Yep, thank you. Even with all the hippie bullshit on it.
Oh man, we got some people saying coffee it up. Some people saying monster sugar free, says VFX Central. Right on, man.
Yep, and if it's not morning where you are, I expect one person to be at least drinking a beer, please, for me. Because it's 10 here and it's not appropriate for some reason.
There you go. George Emmanuel Arnaud says rum in Paris.
Boom.
7 p.m.
Your stock is up, George.
We've got Minano, 6 p.m. in Lisbon. Welcome to the party. Forrest Lamb coming back at us, says, "What's up, everyone?" And Lucas, with a Z, says, "Just made a damn fine cup of coffee."
All right.
And Forrest Lamb loves your setup, man. Everyone loves your setup. I'm glad we can do this right in your studio there. We can take everyone right inside with you.
Good. This is not my normal. I'm on a PC right now, which I'm acclimating to. It's my Mac behind us that you see. It's my normal station right there.
Yeah, and you do both stand and sit desks, right?
I do. I made the switch as soon as I moved to California, actually, in 2003, and I've never gone back. Now that I stand, I feel free. Like when I sit down, I'm super trapped. Like, oh, I'm stuck here, and it's like an effort to get up. When you're standing, you want more water, just turn around and walk out. So much better for your body, and sitting is the new smoking, they say, right? So all the blood collecting in your buttocks while you sit is not good, apparently. So it's better to have it in your feet, I guess, while you stand.
That makes sense, man. Do you get any kind of exercise regularly?
Yes, I do. About an hour a day, Banks.
An hour a day?
An hour a day. 5 on, 1 off. 5 on, 1 off. That's how I roll.
How about y'all on the stream? You guys exercise? George Emmanuel says buttocks. You guys out there exercise, drink coffee? What you stand, you sit? What's your deal?
Buttocks is Latin for butt.
And Forrest Lamb asks, "Do you even lift, bro?"
I do.
Yeah, look at those shoulders, man. Come on,
look at these. Come on, look at this. It's like 2 grapefruits having a meeting up here.
So okay, let's. Where'd we leave off? We left off last week. We got right about to your company, your studio, Bang Bang FX.
Yep.
And talking about how the difference between the sort of trajectory of an artist. You take that big leap to pack up, drive out from Florida, drive 3 days straight, and then walk right into your first job. Turn into a whole chaotic game of I'm first to this space, and then you go take that launch with no money in your bank account, and then you build yourself up as a staff artist, and then you took the leap of faith to jump back out and start your own gig. What's that feel like? I know there are a lot. I've actually received a lot of emails this week about people taking the freelance jump.
It's certainly it is a jump. It is because I mean, in the studio, you have somewhat of a guarantee. You wake up in the morning, you have a job, to the end of the day, and there is some comfort in there because you can expect a paycheck at the end of the day. And one thing that I learned immediately as soon as I started freelance and are on my own, completely my own company, is that the hustle is the thing. So like, oh yeah, you work twice as much when you're freelance, but the thing I did not anticipate was the constant hustle. Like you got to be networking, you got to be going to lunches, you got to be going to dinners, you got to be going to bars and buying buddies drinks and just keeping an eye on networking because when you're at a studio, that's not a critical element of your life other than, making buds at the shop. But when you're on your own, it's so critical to network and spend your time hustling that, it's its own task you can't really bill for, right? So it's be prepared to work a lot harder. But I say that like I'm saying the negative things first. The positive things by far for me outweigh the negative things. I just want to get the bad things out of the way because the positive things are great. You can make your own schedule. You can take off whenever you want. You have the freedom to, work in a studio, work out of a studio, rent to studios with your friends. You have a little more options to have a better life and just more freedom. Now, granted, that same freedom that I'm talking about gets sucked away when you have 3 jobs at once and you're kind of overlacing 3 jobs because you're freelance and you don't want to say no. So it's a double-edged sword, right? But I enjoy it more. I've worked at all the studios across town, Disney, Sony, ImageWorks. Well, one and the same there. DD, Rhythm and Hues, Rodeo. So once you kind of have it and you've seen it, you've done it, you've made the networks. And it's a great thing to say. I'm not knocking on anyone at a studio. Please don't think that. It's more just a personal preference. And, I did not feel secure in the studios necessarily. I thought the sense of security that you got was a little bit false. Having been laid off from a huge studio, I'm like, oh, wow, this came out of nowhere. All because of outsourcing that I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own and I'm going to take the risk. And it is a risk, but, life is on the risk, right? Like you might not walk out of your door and live, right? So it's important to take the appropriate calculated risks and that could improve your life pretty much.
I mean, the studio system for so many people creates that sustainable environment that you can, if you have a family or you have a lot of responsibility, that you can just guaranteed get your work. And I think it's so important for the whole industry to have that. But then
Definitely.
also as being Bien QP says, don't be a freelancer, be a one-man business. It's a big difference.
He's absolutely right. That's a great way to phrase it, and good input there, buddy.
And then Kalina asks a question, how do you network if you can't meet people in person, though?
Well, that's going to be a little bit harder. I mean, I'm not saying online networking is not valuable because it most certainly is.
I don't think there's ever been a better time to online network. I mean, literally, if you look at just the Instagram community within visual effects, it's incredible. I think there's such a cool group of artists who work with one another. You can look down any of the big artists' feed, and many of the other artists are commenting on their work. I mean, just go to Nick's Instagram feed, and there's so many people out there that reach out through there. And I think, through Instagram alone, I mean, much less all the other great platforms, you can do so much work in the networking space that you never could have done even 3-4 years ago.
Absolutely. And this is a great question. Thank you for bringing that up because, we are in a new frontier, in a new age that, being in a random place doesn't necessarily exclude you from doing work across the planet. Right, and this is the first time in human history we've had this ability. So it's evolving, it's changing. That being said, there's nothing that can replace the in-person handshake, beer, drink, cheers kind of thing, and the camaraderie you can create with people in person, and laughing and pushing. Oh, it's funny, that kind of thing is fun, and it helps, but not to negate the benefits of being on the net either. It's a fantastic thing, and most certainly every artist alive right now should be using it. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. So there's two ways to look at it. You definitely need to do the in-person networking if and when you can, always. and take time out of your schedule to go meet some buddies and go hang out, especially if you're in your industry, because networking is the most powerful thing you can do as far as job acquisition goes. Now, the online thing, like Banks was saying, Instagram, ArtStation, there's so many things out there to get your work out there. And if you're talented, especially if you're talented and young, you're a hot ticket item, because as a studio owner and someone who's constantly looking for freelancers who are really talented, I want the young, really talented person who lives in the middle of nowhere, because they don't have a lot of options, so they're more likely to be, I can hire them. They're not going to be double booked, and they're probably a little bit cheaper than the cost of living in Los Angeles, where I'm at, which is a great incentive to hire someone who doesn't necessarily need to have LA rates to survive in a good living. In
a global kind of
yes,
business setting.
It is a global planet now.
Minano,
the world is flat.
Minano asks a good question. He says, networking with other artists versus networking with corporate/studio people. Very good point.
Yes, definitely. And they're both valuable. Like, don't think you only need to network up. I know that for a little bit, like I had in my mind, networking up is the way to go, because they're the ones who hire you. Well, not necessarily true. Networking laterally and even down is just as valuable, because like 2 weeks ago, I got a job because I knew the comp artist at a studio, and I worked with them probably 6 years ago. And it was the comp artist who got me the job, not the producer up top. So networking laterally is critical. Networking downstream is critical. Just networking, period, all around your sphere, laterally, vertically, down, all that stuff's important. Have buddies. You never know when they're going to come in handy. Like, for instance, I'll give you a great example. When I was living in college, my next door neighbor at this crazy wild apartment building we lived at, my buddy Kevin Norris, great texture artist. He's at Weta, has been there for like 8 years now. But he was my next door neighbor in college, and we never really lost contact. We were kind of buddies. We drank a lot together and partied, because we were in college and wild. So we became friends. So anyway, he got a job at Rhythm and Hues when I was still teaching and working at MTV in Miami, and he's the one who got me my 3-day job at Rhythm and Hues that ended up launching my career. So that little bit of networking, had I not been buddies with him and hung out with him and been friends with him, I would have never had the shot like I had it, right? I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened. It would have had to come another avenue. So networking is critical.
Alex Fagini told a really cool story yesterday about how he was at Sony UK, and an art director that he worked with there went over to BioWare and then recommended him, saw his real interest for sci-fi and felt like it wasn't being serviced there, and then was able to recommend him. And then he didn't actually work with that guy at BioWare, still doesn't work with that guy at BioWare, but he was able to use the friend network and pick each other up.
Yep. Make buds. It's important.
Make buds.
Yep.
Well, speaking of that, let's take a look at, can you see my screen? I want to show and talk just a little bit about, we have right now, for those of you who may not know, and Minano says, thanks for the great answer.
Yes. Thanks for the great question.
Right now at KitBash3d.com, you can go on and download our sample kit, and we are having a sample kit contest. And so we have people who are taking the 8 pieces of a Gothic kit and making their own piece of work out of it. And I want to show just a couple of these. People post them and then they tag us, and then you can be entered into the contest, and the winner of the contest will be announced after all of the artists who are in the festival vote on it. But I just want to highlight a couple of these guys because I think they're really rocking. Can you see this, Nick?
I can. What do the winners win, by the way?
Oh, that's a great question. They win. The kit. They win a full Gothic kit.
Nice. See, look. So, what a great reason to participate. You want that free kit? Get out there, make some great art, inspire some people. Boom, you get free stuff.
And so Dimitri has made this piece, and he's kicked out several different pieces really fast because he's done it, in just a couple hours. But I think it's so cool to see the different things people are doing with it. Yep,
nice atmospherics, Dimitri.
And then here, this one came in this 2 days ago from Hugh. I think it's just so rad to see how quick people are putting things together with a few amount of pieces and how fast.
Yep, definitely. I mean, it's a great way to make things and explore and play. One of the best things about when you're learning something is enjoying the play process. Like, playing is important, especially if you want to do this as a career. You need to love it. You need to learn it. And one of the best ways to do it is to play. Just get in there, play with some kits, move stuff around, explore, experiment, try new ideas, and don't be afraid to make something, that you don't absolutely love. The more important thing is to love doing it and learn from it.
I love how you call your setup area the sandbox. I think that really brings up the idea of play quite well.
Yep.
Kalina asks, you don't have to use just the kits though, right? Certainly not, right? A lot of this, all of this scenery besides the castle is not part of the kit.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, whenever I do a kit bash, well, depending on what it is, like if I do a mech kit bash, I have probably 15 mechs I've bought and busted up for kits, and about another 10 or so actual kits I bought, hard surface kits that I use. So I don't use just one kit. I use every kit I can buy, and the name of the game is speed, really. How fast can you do it, get it done? And if you want a more design process, like once you get your kit, your mech built with the kits, then you're going to refine it and change it and make it a little more your own versus using entirely kits. It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is mech design, you want to design it from scratch, fine. But if your goal is to make a great scene, then use the kits where you can and get the speed out of it.
Bangarang. Well, here this was actually the first one.
Yes.
This guy Droquis picked the kit up on day one, like an hour after launch, and put this out the next day. And
very really, creative use.
Yeah, one of our most liked posts on Instagram, actually.
Yep, it's a very creative use for sure. I like that the bridge leading you in. It's great, and the one lone dude on there.
And then this one came in. I just want to highlight from the one and only Mike Johnson.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Which this is actually he bought the Neo Tokyo kit, and that's nice. What this is. But I think it's just outstanding.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. It looks cool. I saw a screen grab. I don't know if this is a render or not, but looks cool.
Speaking of screen grabs, I'm gonna take one right now and put it on Instagram. Bang. All right, and now we speaking of sandbox and play, let's jump into yours, huh? You want to? I'll stop sharing my screen and then you start sharing yours.
Yep, nice work everybody on this kits, by the way, but except for Mike Johnson. Nice work everybody else.
Yeah, Mike, come on, man. Little more effort, Mike.
Let's see. Share screens. Start. We in?
Rang. We are in. Everyone can see us?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right. So, I guess last week the request was Drunk Batman.
Drunk Batman in Art Deco, exactly.
All right. I had hoped to have a little more time to prep this, but my schedule's pretty ruthless.
I mean, yeah, you're working on like 4 jobs right now, aren't you?
I did 18 hours yesterday, if that tells you anything. So I'm pretty tired. Well, so I was hoping to have a little more ready to go, but I know what I want to do. Basically, what I want to do is I want to have, Batman kind of, front of the frame, back to the camera, holding a bottle of booze. And of course, he's drunk, right? So that's the whole thing. So one way to help sell the drunk, I was going to have a bunch of liquor bottles, beer bottles on the ground, of course. And then what better way to describe drunk than a giant mistake you made? So I was going to have Batman open up Harley Quinn ass to eyeballs accidentally and I drunk killed Harley. Oops. And then I decided to have him basically kill all of his enemies accidentally because he was too drunk. He forgot it. He got a little carried away. So I was going to have dead Batman enemies kind of sitting around, Harley laying on top of the steps, kind of the blood dripping down the steps was kind of my thing. And then to top it off, to help sell Drunk Batman, I wanted the Batman symbol in the sky, right? But with 2 X's over his eyes, like he's drunk, right? So these are kind of the themes that I wanted to capture, right? All right. So I did a couple thumbnails, but not anything really intense. So I know the rough blocking that I want to do by thumbnail. But since I'm on my PC here, I don't have any of that stuff around. So we're just going to have to wing it, and I'll mock something up on the scratch or on the fly here.
I think everyone is pumped to see your process.
Well, right now my computer's whatever it's doing. There you go. Hey, buddy. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I get a human scale in here. I know I want this to be about steps because I want Harley's blood to be kind of draining down the steps and that to kind of be a focal point. So let's get our human scale Batman, or temp Batman right here. Oh, and I found a really good kind of Batman mock-up, or not really a mock-up, but a Batman that I'm going to use on KitBash3d that has it's a kind of a rough superhero dressed in black and a cape. So that can get me most of the way there, and then I'll paint the rest of the Batman details in. So let's just get my scale down Dun, dun, dun. Nope, too big. It's about 1 foot per step, right? That's about right. Ballpark. We'll change as we go. All right. So let's see. That's my scale. So now the first thing I'm going to do, take my human scale Batman, make a layer. It's going to get him in here. So we're going to... Man. Drone.
Bam, drum.
Forehead.
Forehead.
No, I think it's Jordan.
You get our handstand.
All right, Lee. Something on this in here. Let's say, so let's stay my so I'll lay this. He's talking my gun off. First, I'll do pictures of this guy. This guy. Maybe a couple of these just to kick off stuff. All right. Duplicate him. Remove him from the group. Boop. There we go.
Forrest Lamb asks a quick question I just want to address. He says, do we have to tag KitBash3d on Facebook and Instagram, or either is fine? He's talking about the sample kit contest. Either is fine. The entries you just saw came in through Facebook. And actually one came in through Instagram. If you tag us on both, we have a better shot. We're getting a lot of stuff coming at us right now, which we're really, really incredibly grateful for. So to tag us on both, tag us on one, tag us however you prefer, and in the name of good sound networking, I think the word I've learned best is persistence. But yes, just tag us on one, and hopefully we'll see it. If by chance we miss it, hit us up again.
You said a great word there, persistence, Banks. That's a great word. Have you seen The Founder?
I've not seen The Founder, but I've heard. Speaking of Batman and Michael Keaton. Look at this.
Connections. Tying it in.
Oh, and speaking of connections, we're talking about networking.
Boom.
Speaking of that, I just got a notification from Chris that a coupon code is now available, courtesy of the one and only Nick Hiatt. If you type in full caps, drunk bat, you will get 30% off your kit of choice. But that's going to go real quick, and I think there's only one, if I got that notification right. Bang, so we're in.
There's only one. We're going to have to do something, everybody, to get Banks to loosen up the purse strings a little bit.
And Forrest Lamb asked me, is it just me or is it lagging real bad? Oh, and apparently we are lagging. Yes. Yeah, huh. Super laggy. It's dead, they say. Ah, shit.
Well, I'm not moving right now. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll move slow. Let's
Only
see.
Audio left. Started right when you got into Maya. Huh. I wonder why. I can see. I got you crystal clear, and I got you in the OBS. Stand by, folks. Thank you very much for the feedback.
Yes. Yep. Sorry that I'll go through and redo everything I did in Maya. Just by the way, it was nothing really major. Just setting it up. So when I started sharing my screen, Banks.
I don't know. I'm looking at it on the feed, and it is slow. But
you want me to restart to share my screen? Maybe stop and start again?
Yeah, let's give that a whirl.
All right. Sorry, everybody. I know you didn't tune in to see us troubleshoot. Stop sharing. Boom. Okay, stop sharing. Now, Banks, it should be all you.
Okay. Bien.
Look at that good-looking Banks. Look at that guy.
Oh, come on now. BNQP says Michael Keaton Vulture is better than Michael Keaton Batman. Or, sorry, is greater than, is how you read that.
I can see that. How ironic is it that another Michael Keaton twist, he played Birdman, and now he's the Vulture.
Look at that.
Come on, dude. It's just Michael Keaton 6 degrees today. All right, Banks.
Okay, give me a I'm going to stop sharing mine and give me a share screen back.
All right, on it.
Infinite Divide says, think it's getting better. Minano says it's better now. I hope
share
it's
screens.
Not just the Maya stream coming from you.
All right, everyone, I'm back up.
thank you all very much for working with us on this one.
Yep.
I think that's
Let me know
the beauty of doing things live.
Let me know how the speed is.
Minano says it's better now, and Infinite Divide says think it's getting better, but I'm not sure if that's how's it coming in for y'all? Okay, wait, I'm looking at the feed, and your mug's up there. You got your helicopter microphone on. And okay, Minano says it's fine now. Okay, I think we should be good.
Alrighty, all right, good. Okay, all right. So what did we miss in Maya? Okay, essentially all I did in Maya, imported my kit, and I have a temp human in here just for human scale. So all I did was just kind of scale my human down to match. I'm just redoing what I did so everyone can see.
Christian brings up an interesting point. He says Twitch had some problems the last days. I put the video on 480p and it works now. If that works for y'all, please give it a shot, and thank you very much, Christian.
Yes, thank you. Please chime in if you have any solutions to any kind of troubleshooting issues we're having. So all I did, I just brought my human scale in, scaled it down, and then I grouped a couple things so I can have a few pieces of the kit. And I took the main group of the kit and just hit it so I don't have to look at anything I don't need. So for now, I'm just going to start my scene with this little bit of stuff here, right? So again, like I was saying, I want to steps were kind of a main feature. I wanted to have Harley on the top of the steps, and he accidentally killed her in his drunken bat rampage or bat page. There's something good there. Someone come up with something for me. So stairs are a big part of it, right? So I'm going to steal these stairs. Boom.
Hey, I want to just catch us up on the comments here. Steve Corman is in the room. He says, "Hey everyone."
What's up, Corman?
And then everyone says the stream is going well. And CB reminds everyone, in case you missed it, guys, because of the connection issues, Drunk Bat is the 30% discount code. Only one of them. You better snag it, CB. Back to you, Nick.
Alrighty. All right. So yeah, stairs are a big part of this. I want to have Harley at the top of the stairs somewhere. I don't know if she's going to be hanging or lying, but let's see. Let me get these a little bit taller. How can I dupe these? Let's see what we can do here. So Banks, when's Max coming back? Soon?
Max, if you've been following his social media, which actually Mike C4D asked a question about social media. He asks, I don't mean to dodge your question. I'll get back right to it.
No, please.
But Mike says, what social media sites do you guys benefit from the most, and why?
That's a great question. I would say whichever one you get the most traction at, probably, obviously. But for me, it's probably Facebook and Instagram, and maybe followed by ArtStation, I guess.
I mean, ArtStation is such an incredible industry resource.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
And I think that's the way to get the most one-to-one warm contacts. But Instagram, I think, has just exploded since Facebook has really stepped up its work with it over the last this year, and since really they've been trying to beat out Snapchat. Do you, Nick? Do you use Instagram Stories?
I've never used Instagram Stories. No. No particular reason I haven't used it. Just I haven't. I typically just post my images whenever I get a minute to breathe from work, and then I move back to the desk.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram being such a visual medium and the visual effects industry being such that it is, I think it's such a really awesome place to connect with everyone. Speaking of that, Max has been posting. He's been all around the world. He's been posting a lot of actually architectural photos from Europe.
I've seen it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, so check out Max's Instagram. He will be back with us to his regular time slot, which we are in right now. He'll be back with us on Tuesday of next week.
Seriously, Max is going to boot me out?
Well, I'm hoping I can convince you to join us. Yeah, you got stuff to do. Steve Corman says, "Doing great!" ! Can't wait to see what you do with the kit. Me too, man.
Yep.
And Steve, Steve did a stream with us the week before last, and look out for his final image being posted on our social media, and hope maybe Steve's as well. This week, he made an awesome first image. Steve was the first artist to stage in the KitBash3d festival.
Uh-oh. All right, so I'm trying to get a doorway. That's what my goal was there. But this is really my first time getting into the Art Deco kit. I peeked at it last time we had the stream, but I didn't do a lot with it. That's kind of my goal this time, is to really explore this guy and see what they have. So typically when I first get a kit, I'll examine it, see what the pieces are. This thing's lost my center point. Boom. So I'll kind of know what has a doorway, what doesn't. At this point, I don't. So I'm kind of fumbling around, and you get to see me fumble live. So imagine this is pretty much my first time using this kit. I've seen a little bit, but haven't done too much with it. I might lose that there if I do that.
Fumbling is good, man.
Yeah, well, you get to see it how I would actually do it.
Yeah, I think knowing that even you go through changes and thoughts and seeing how your process works is encouraging. It's encouraging to me.
Yeah. Typically, I'll have a little more evolved thumbnail of what I want to do and a better idea. Because of my schedule is so racked right now, I don't have a lot of free time to really do anything other than breathe. So
quite important.
So where's my pivot at?
Do you have a kind of meditation or a yoga or breathing practice of any sort?
No, my mind is not the quiet sort. Trying to shut that thing up is good luck to that.
Uh-huh.
When I was younger into martial arts, I tried to meditate a lot, and I just ended up just getting really frustrated with the fact that I could not shut that thing on top of my skull up, or the thing inside my skull up. So just can it? No, meditation's not really my thing. I know that you do, Banks. I've heard about your meditation sessions.
Well, I want to know what kind of martial arts you were into.
My dad taught Taekwondo as a kid, so I took Taekwondo as a kid just from my dad. He was a cop, so he taught the police Taekwondo, which is Korean martial arts, and then I took Tang Sudo on my own, which is also Korean. And then I got my license and started thinking about chicks, and I was not I was not necessarily thinking about karate after that. I was not trying to beat up men anymore.
So your dad was a martial arts teacher?
Yes, he was a black belt in Taekwondo. Wow. And that's how he met my mom, actually, karate class.
Really? She was a student?
Yes, she was. She could have just been trying to meet some dude, I don't know, but that's what she ended up doing.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. And do you think that growing up in a martial arts family was something you guys as a pack identified with?
My mom did not practice martial arts. I'm pretty sure she was in it just to meet some tough dude.
Well, she made it.
But that being said, my dad made up for that in spades. So yeah, I think it was good. I think discipline was a big thing. Definitely growing up on a farm, you have discipline off the bat because you're always working. Just because it's not harvest season doesn't mean you don't have 1,000 farm chores to do. So work ethic and discipline was what's the word I'm looking for? Vigorously installed as a young kid for me. So yeah, it was always a thing, and definitely martial arts helped for sure. It got me discipline, right? I mean, did I lose that discipline as I turned 18 and started to become a raging maniac? Maybe a little bit. I
mean, I think your work can speak for discipline.
But where I did trade exercising for partying, which I thought I was really good at that.
Which is kind of a workout in itself.
Yeah, it is. Oh, work your liver out for sure, man. And as any good Irishman, I like to drink.
It's cool watching you stage this, man.
Well, I'm kind of just goofing off. I mean, honestly, I should have a better idea of what I'm doing, but because my schedule is so hosed right now, I don't really have the time to do it properly. And it is what it is. We'll just wing it, and hopefully someone will learn a little bit of something from me today. If nothing else, what not to do.
Well, Chris Bohan says it would be awesome if you guys pop up on the Learn Squared live stream even after the KitBash Festival. Really informative streams. Pumped you're digging this, man. Yeah, Nick, maybe we can do this again, huh?
Totes. I love the Learn Squared courses. I've only taken one, and literally, this is the honest to God truth. I took that one stream, and it literally changed my artwork tenfold because I learned what KitBash3d was from a Mache concept art lesson they offered, some concept character creation. Anyway, don't quote me on that. Just go to Learn Squared, you'll see it. But I learned, like, I watched that one episode and I got about halfway through it until I discovered Daz, and I didn't even finish it. I'm like, watch, pause, and I went and learned Daz. I'm like, holy crap, this is so great. I can make really quick characters and then paint the rest. Like, I learned a ton from Learn Squared. Just my first little tutorial, I learned a ton. So, yep, I'd love to come back for Learn Squared.
I mean, I can't talk
Those guys
about
are awesome.
Learn Squared enough. I think they just have. We feel so fortunate to be partnered with them in this festival. I'm just so grateful they wanted to do this with us, because we think there couldn't really be a cooler place out there now. The way that they've set up their courses with their mentorships and their apprenticeships, so you can go in and watch a class, but then also one of your classmates in the class will be another artist. Like for example, in Alex Fagini's course, Emmanuel Shu is the apprentice, and so you can see Emmanuel Shu learning ZBrush in a way that he hasn't, or picking up new tips, and you can have a fellow classmate who's also one of the best working concept artists in the world. I think it's just an awesome format, and how cool to have these resources available that I'm sure, even a decade ago, when you were getting kicked off, Nick, that wasn't the case. You had to really...
Yep. Yeah. I know that when I started, the internet was kind of in its infancy. Like, I think this is in 99, 2000, I guess. And we would, there was not a lot of learning material out there. There was no YouTube at the time. We could just Google, Maya 101. No. So we had to rely on books. This old thing you used to flip through and read, on actual paper. It's crazy. So we relied on that a lot as students. And we also learned to rely on each other, which was an important thing, because like now there's so much information online. You can rely on YouTube and learn a ton. Like, I mean, literally, if you were so inclined, you could get to a professional level in our industry with no schooling, just internet and hard work and dedication and networking. So, not saying don't go to school. I'm not saying that. But if one were so inclined, or you weren't near a good school, you were out in the middle of nowhere, like how I grew up, you could learn this stuff on your own if you're dedicated, committed, and you use resources like Learn Squared and go to ArtStation to get pumped on all these great artwork. So there's a lot of resources for you out there. Use them.
And Kalina asks, how do I spell my name? My name is Banks, Banks. My last name is Boutte, Boutte, from KitBash3d.
Yes, it is. And
then
hands off, ladies. He's taken.
that is correct. And CB, no one says that. Mike Cinema 4D, which I'm guessing, is that Mike Johnson? Do we have Mike Johnson in the house?
No, I don't think that's Mike.
That's not Mike?
He's Mike Murder or something like that.
All right, Mike Cinema 4D asks a really cool question. It's so thoughtful the way Mike Johnson is what made me think of it. He says, if you guys could recommend only one book that has improved your life or workflow, what would it be?
Is this about, well, let's see. I'll give you one book that improved my life fiscally. That's The Millionaire Next Door. Read that book. Save some money.
The Millionaire Next Door. I'm gonna write it down.
That's a good one. And the one book that's helped me career-wise was probably a Maya book back in the 90s, 2000s, and that's irrelevant to everybody now. All that stuff's totally changed. That's a really good question.
Are you a big reader, Nick?
I'm a great listener.
Oh yeah.
I listen. I do audiobooks like, oh man, no one's business. I do around 100 and something audiobooks a year.
What?
I do the 50 in bulk at Audible twice. Right.
Oh
so
my God.
I crush a lot of audiobooks. Now granted, I say like I listen to the books while I work, so I don't necessarily get 100% of the book. I get around 80, 75 depending on if I'm, at what state of mind I'm in when I'm listening. But that's great because you can always go back and listen to it again and get that 20%, and it's kind of 20% new the next time, right? So I crush a lot of audiobooks. I just let them play while I work, fantasy, sci-fi, nonfiction, fiction, all that good stuff, right? So anyway,
I can't imagine 100 books a year, and I don't think when I sit down and read a book slowly, do I retain more than 80% of it. So I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and, yes, and I'm not trying to say this to make me seem smart. I am a very stupid person. I just listen good. See, I can't even English right.
Well, and what an awesome time it is to be working in the visual medium. Do you find that it's hard to focus? I mean, you're doing a pretty good job of keeping working while we talk, which seems harder than listening.
It's harder than it looks. I trust me, because I want to just sit and chat for a minute or two. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
I have a hard enough time drinking my tea while we talk. Right on, man. Do you do podcasts too?
Yeah, I do podcasts. I love the Bill Burr. Just checking in on you.
Dude.
I love his podcast. He cracks me up. I like a Jocko podcast. It's very motivating. He's an ex-military guy. Super motivating. I love Dan Carlin. If anyone hasn't heard Dan Carlin's Hardcore History or Dan Carlin's Common Sense, listen to Dan Carlin. Brutal history, and you will understand humans. It's better than any psychology class, because you get to see what humans have done to each other, the terrible, the good, the bad, the ugly, over recorded human history. And Dan Carlin does it like no one else. So if you haven't done it, Banks, check it out.
Yeah. I'm building a whole list here.
It's called Hardcore History for a reason, because it is ruthless. Like, it's not the pretty stuff. It's the, oh my God, they did that to these people. Woo! Oof, okay. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, for me, a book that's really hit me is the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. Talks about what it means to be alive, and I feel like it's a journey just to get through that book. I take almost a paragraph at a time and give it a month, because it's that. So if you're looking for a deep dive, that's my recommendation.
Nice. Send me that on IM when we're done here, so I can have it written down.
I will. And Sari Chev says Dan Carlin rocks.
Yes.
George Emmanuel says audiobooks are great. So does Dork.
Is this our same George that's drinking rum?
That'd be George. Yeah, rumming on the beach.
How you feeling, George?
Mike Cinema 4D chimes in with How I Built This with Guy Raz, which is an awesome podcast. Max actually turned me on to that one.
Banks, make a list of these here, because I want to check these out. This sounds like a good book.
It's a really good idea. Maybe we should put a list out onto our Instagram too. It's a thought.
Yeah, keep it flowing.
And George Emmanuel says it's Game of Thrones without the dragon fantasy shit. Right on.
And believable timelines.
You know what? Sorry, he's actually talking to. He gives you a recommendation. He says listen to The Accursed Kings, by Ruiz Mauditz, and that's what's Game of Thrones without the dragon fantasy shit. I'm having a hard time picturing what Game of Thrones without the dragon fantasy shit is, but I'm intrigued.
Well, just watch the first couple seasons. There's no dragons, right?
Yep. Watch the first couple. Well, yeah, exactly. Right. First season one. I get it now.
Yeah, yep. And then the little babies come after she decides to step into the fire.
Infinite Divide says he read the Tibetan Book of the Dead because of Timothy Leary. I mean, Timothy Leary's a good access point there.
I just watched a great documentary on Amazon about Timothy Leary the other day.
He was wild, man.
I didn't realize he spent that much time in jail. I mean, the whole acid thing, cool, bud. Like, have fun. But dude was in jail. Didn't know that. Had no clue.
Yeah, he was a trip, man. Speaking of acid, a really fun
literally
one is Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test.
Yep, I read that as a kid, actually.
Yeah, Tom Wolfe. That's an exciting one. My favorite book as a kid, speaking of while I got you on the line, was Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow.
Oh yeah, Orson Scott Card. What's up?
And I bring that up because I know you worked on Ender's Game.
I did. I had a brief time on Ender's Game. I was at Digital Domain working on Thor, and I think Ender's was just coming in at the time, and they wanted a concept for the Formic homeworld, or the buggers, whichever.
The Formics. Yep.
I don't know if it's PC to call Formics buggers or not. Whatever.
I'm not sure about either one.
We'll find out. So they were there, and I was like, "Oh, you're doing Ender's Game?" Like, I've literally read every single book that Orson's done, all the way through Empire. The non-Ender series is really good. So, and I was like, "Dude, give me a shot at the planet." And I worked on the Formic homeworld concept design.
I mean, I don't think there's a cooler job in the world than to get to take such iconic locations and worlds, and then to get to be the first one to take a crack at creating them. You know, I just think concept art is like the coolest thing anyone could ever do.
Yeah, and funny enough, on Orson, while we're talking about him, Ender's Game, a big setting where the Wiggins live is in Greensboro, North Carolina, which
the
is
borough.
which is the borough, which is literally the biggest city near me where I grew up. So I spent half my youth in Greensboro, just trying. When I was able to get out and drive, we'd go to Greensboro and get in a shitload of trouble.
North Carolina's a wild place.
It is fun, the setting of this thing was right where I grew up, and I was raised Mormon. Orson's a Mormon, and Orson came to our church to speak when I was a little kid, and didn't even remember it until I read the book, and I was like, oh, is that the author? And then sure enough, it ended up being that.
How
small
funny.
small world. I was connected to the game, to Ender and the Wiggins, long before I even knew what they were.
That is literally some of the most fun reading experience of my life. I've read them many times, but my favorite thing to do is read Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow at the same time, because they're the same story from two different perspectives.
From Bean and Ender.
From Bean and Ender, yeah.
Yep.
I did 6 years ago. I did a master cleanse. The
Oh yeah,
cayenne
I've done
pepper
3 of them.
Have you
Ruthless.
really? Brutal.
Yeah, I did 2 successful, 1 semi-successful.
Yeah, I think you could say mine was semi-successful, but while I did it, I think I didn't want to do anything, so all I did was read both those books together.
Yeah, well, you can't go out in public because all your friends are eating and drinking, and you're sitting at home sucking on lemons, literally.
You're just like, I took all the joy out of life.
Sucks, bro.
Yeah,
It sucks, bro.
I just want to drink some syrup.
Yep. Funny enough, that's when I discovered what a lemon party was. Not what you think. Don't Google it. NSFW.
I'll take your word
Lemon
for
party.
it.
Don't Google lemon party at work. Don't do
When
it.
Nick Hiatt tells me don't Google it, I believe him.
Listen.
Anyone out there on the Twitch stream ever done a cleanse? Good luck to you.
Yeah, especially the Master Cleanse. It's ruthless.
All right, so let's jump into your Maya session here. So you render in Maya as well, right?
I do. V-Ray and Octane, which I'm still learning Octane. I got a computer that can crush Octane. I just haven't had enough time to commit to learning it because I'm in production right now and there's not very little free time to explore. Yes, I render out of Maya. I love V-Ray. It's just kind of slow. Their new OpenGL rendering is pretty cool. I haven't quite mastered it yet. I'm still tweaking on it. But I really want to get into Octane. That's what I see the real speed at. I just need a good 10 hours to sit in and immerse myself in its the pipeline.
It'd be a good Learn Squared class.
It'd be a great Learn Squared class.
It's such
teach Nick Octane.
Right. I mean, well, yeah, you could be the apprentice.
I'll do it. I need to learn it.
Octane renders, I think, is such a hot button issue.
Oh man, it's good stuff.
Really awesome Instagram hashtag. Just hashtag Octane render and go down the path. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Mike Cinema 4D asks, question, I know how to get clients and have no problem keeping a steady flow of work, right on, but do you have any tips for getting into much larger companies like Marvel movies, James Bond titles, etc.? Thanks. Good question.
I would say the biggest tip in getting into the bigger studios is have a good body of work and good work experience, and every step you take will lead you there, right? There's no magic button. Networking is a big thing for sure. I mean, I got into Rhythm and Hues, my first job, because of my next door neighbor in college, my good buddy Kevin Norris, over at Weta now.
Gotta love Kev.
Yep. So yeah, networking, work hard, be good, and everything else will take care of itself.
The next comments, George Emmanuel goes, too late, I Googled it. Sari Chev goes, why did I Google it? And then
don't I warn everyone, don't Google it.
I know it. Perfect.
Don't. Well, yeah.
We get
Maybe
gross with 4 O's, 3 exclamation points, avoid at all costs. I'm telling you, he said it.
I'm not judging anyone on that site or anyone who likes that site. Just FYI. Yeah. Let's just move on. Let's move on.
BNQP says Octane is awesome and easy to learn.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I don't know whether to spend the time learning the Octane standalone renderer or to spend time learning the Octane in Maya renderer, which I'm assuming is probably kind of one of the same. I just need to, invest a little time and learn which one's smarter.
All these new advancements, they remind me of when I was growing up doing bibliography information. I mean, like whenever we did a paper or something, whenever we researched something, we had to write like a note card about where we found it in what encyclopedia. And I feel like now it's just like you just Google. And I feel like that's like what all these new software and opportunities are. It just sort of renders everything obsolete in its wake.
Yep, a little bit. Yeah, and that brings up something good that I should talk about, because this is something I think, especially as someone, this is more geared for people who are already in the industry. The software comes out so fast, and it's such a jump in speed and skill and all that stuff like that, that you really need to take a little bit of time out of your year, each year, to train in the new software. And had I not done that, I would be really far behind the curve. That's not even worth it right there. I would be really far behind the curve right now, as far as I wouldn't know ZBrush. I wouldn't know, DAZ. I wouldn't know any of this new software if you don't take the time to learn it, especially as a freelancer. You really need to invest a little bit of time every month, every year, whatever, to learn new software. I try my best to take December off fully, because it's kind of a slow season anyway, unless you're doing Super Bowl spots. And just learn new software, just train, pick up a scene you want to make in ZBrush and learn ZBrush. Because if you don't, your competition will, and the students that are coming out of school learning these things will surpass you in speed. They're cheaper already. They don't have the experience you do, but money are cheap, and new software will speed them up. Well, they're a little bit faster, a little bit cheaper, but less experience. Well, those two things will eventually equal out to pass you. So make sure you learn new software when you're already in the game, on the ground, working all the time. Spend a little bit of time to train. It's important.
So do you spend much time in ZBrush?
I do, not nearly as much as I would like to. I still haven't used the new ZBrush, which looks freaking awesome. Again, I'm mid-production, no real time to train on it.
Right.
But it is ZBrush and Octane are the top of my list. And then Fusion 360 is the next thing I want to learn as well, because I've seen some amazing stuff come out of that parametric modeling software like that. It looks amazing. So
super cool stuff. Well, I just got a notification that our drunk bat is gone. But if you, the discount code that we threw in earlier, but if you want to, if you're still looking for a kit and you're bummed you didn't get a shot at that, I know that when we announced it, we had a little technical difficulties. So we've opened up another coupon code that is Nick15, Nick all caps 15. And that'll take 15% off anything you want. And we'll keep that open for about 10 minutes after we stream here. So if you guys want it, have at it.
Look at the generosity from the KitBash3d folks.
Well,
generous.
It's actually from the artists. Several of the artists, when we were talking to about doing this festival, they were like, "That's awesome. How about we give something from us back to the viewers, so that when they're in, they can do this." So this coupon code, as much as I would like to take credit for it, actually came from you guys, from the gents on stage.
Nice.
So thank you guys for that. We got another question. Do you negotiate rates with clients, or take the offered rate and decline anything lower? Do you negotiate rates with clients or take the offered rate?
That's a really good question. I mean, when you have a rate, that's your rate. Now that being said, as any good businessman, there's always wiggle room, So should you be flexible? Yes, always. But at a certain point, you don't want to be taken advantage of either. So it's one of those things. It's a case-by-case scenario, and it depends on how far they are from your rate, how much you want to work on the project, how much future work or how much future value will you get out of the project. Like, if someone offers you to work on Star Wars, for instance, you say yeah, no matter what, because it'll give you money down the road. So it really is a case-by-case scenario. And you need to be flexible, because the last thing you want to do is piss clients off. Like, that's the absolute last thing you ever want to do. And if you play hardball one time, then you're known as a hardball guy, and they might not hire you again the next time. So it's a delicate dance, like being in any good relationship. Like a little bit of give and take here. Put the toilet seat up. Fuck it, I'll put the toilet seat up. Fine. So it's one of those things where it's just give and take. There's no correct answer. Stand firm to your rate by all means, and this is also something you need to be realistic about, and your skill level in your career. If you're new, you don't have a lot of bargaining power. If you've got a lot of titles under your belt and you're really good and you're at a high demand and your inbox is full of requests, well then you don't lower your rate because your inbox is full of requests. So it's a case by case thing. No easy answer other than be nice, be willing to compromise, and whatever it is you do, just work hard at it.
I stick to the rule of thumb: one for the real and one for the meal. You know,
look at this.
Look at
That's
that, man.
good,
Rhyming too. I know it. If
Boom.
if you get something that's really going to help your career, like you were saying, take Star Wars, do Star Wars, where then you can leverage that for something else, then that brings tons of value to you. But
Yes,
if it's something that you've done 1,000 times, and so often we can get sort of pipelined into typecasting, and if it's something you've done 1,000,000 times, then jack your rate, because it all comes down to whether or not you're willing to lose. I think that's all negotiation.
Yes, it is, and look, I mean, it also comes into your definition of a loss. Like, what is a loss? Did you make a huge profit is one thing, and if you're a company, that's important. If you're just an individual, it's like, what did I learn? Will this give me a new chance to work with 5 new artists that I've never worked with before? And if I do a great job, will these 5 guys hire me again? Well, yeah, probably. So, there's also value in that. So it depends on what your definition of value is, and where you are in your career will help define that definition. Right? Does that make sense? Am I reading that right? I'm kind of half.
No, I'm right there with you. I was actually watching you build this bridge too, and I have trouble looking and listening, but you seem to be able to build and talk. You got it going on, man.
I like this one for the meal, one for the real. This is good.
Well, I think you bring up a really interesting path here in my brain that says time is our currency, and you only can do so many projects, and you can only take on so much, and at the end of the day, what is really important to you? And do you, when thinking about goals, do you set and try to laser focus on a singular goal, and do you set goals every day, or do you often, or do you not focus on that so much?
I'm big on focusing on goals. I'm a big fan of law of attraction. Energy goes where attention flows.
Bam. Look at you.
If you want something, focus on it. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, don't let anything distract you from your goal, especially if it's something you really want, and have it in your mind all the time. Right? It's important. So yeah, I set medium goals, long range goals. Setting realistic goals that you can achieve to increase your mood is also important. Like, my goal after this meeting is to finish my dishes, right? And so I know I'll accomplish that. So if I've accomplished a goal, I feel a little bit better. Like, oh, nice, I got this freaking dishes out of the way. Nice.
Well, Mike chimes in and says, how do you structure your day? What does an average day look like?
It really depends on how many projects there are on in my shop. Usually it's wake up, instant human, add coffee.
There we go.
Hang out with my dogs for a little bit so they can get a few minutes of my time before I dig in. And then it depends on if I have meetings, client calls. There's always some deliveries need to happen every day. So I really schedule the first part of my morning is the technical bits. I get all because I'm really caffeinated. I'm in a, hopefully there hasn't been a lot of human interaction to change my mood. So my mood's pretty steady. So I get all my technical stuff out of the way, all my emails, all my client correspondence, any kind of technical thing I need to do, setting up materials or rendering or anything like that. I try and get out in the first part of the day. So that way, the middle of the day, have a little lunch, have a little afternoon delight, whatever. And then, go on and hammer out the parts of your day that are the more creative side, which is I like to do the creative bits towards the end of the day, especially at night. Because at nighttime, after around 8 o'clock, no one's going to call you and email you, so you can just really get in the flow. Here I go talking about how I love to work after 8 o'clock. I would like to be done by 8 o'clock, but it's not always the case.
Well, and your personal creativity projects, perhaps.
Yes. I definitely like my personal stuff at night, so no one's bugging me, get in the right frame of mind.
I mean, I'm so impressed with following your social media, how you crank out personal projects. I mean, you'll knock out something in just a weekend, a concept like the soldier ones you did 2 weeks ago, which I just thought were outstanding. And the speed at which, I know how many different projects you're on for client work. I'm like, how does this guy, but I guess maybe it is that. Maybe it's just, it's those fun moments in the nighttime after you've done your client work.
Yeah, it's exactly that too. Like I also, I have a burning desire to do my own stuff, as any creative person probably does. I imagine half the listeners do too, or all of them, if nothing else. But I want to do my own stuff. I see something that I like, and then I want to. This is cool. I have an idea for this. I'd love to try that. And I get a reward from doing client work, especially if it's good work, for sure. I get mental reward and fiscal rewards, obviously. But it's not the same as like, oh, I want to do this own thing for myself. And there's something to be said about being able to do your own artwork. Plus, this is rolling right back into the training. This is how I train, is doing my own personal artwork. I train on new software. Like, oh, I need to learn this. Let me try how to do this in V-Ray or DAZ, or, oh, I never thought about doing it like this. So it's harder to train. Well, you can still train on client work for sure, because every time you do something, you're training, you're getting better. But learning new software, experimenting is not something you want to do too much on client work, because they're paying you. You want to know what you're doing, move in, and get it done straight line. No serpentine patterns trying to get to it. You want to go straight, save them the money, do a good job, and be early. So yeah, I love to do personal work when I train and learn new software and explore and experiment and fail. Because when I fail on someone else's money, I feel guilty. When I fail on my own time, I just feel like an idiot for wasting my time.
And so much of learning is like having the courage to fail and fail. I think.
Yep.
I think it's such a great point, Nick.
Yep. I read an amazing quote. Tommy Franks, actually, American general. The road. Wait. Fuck, I'm blanking on it now. I'm gonna get it right if I say it. The road. This is no failure. From the ashes of failure rise the flames of success. Boom.
Bam.
That's it. So don't be afraid to fail, right?
I love that. So many of the great inspirational speakers, I feel like are hitting that note over and over again. That is from the courage to take risks. Do we come up? I think that the like throw the kid in the pool and learn to swim, I think, is a great way to give a child trauma for the rest of his life. But as an adult, the learn by doing method, I think, is tried and true.
Yes, I totally agree.
Well, Nick, I know you have so many projects to go, and we are so grateful for your time. I got to cut you loose here because I know you got to get back, but I could sit here and talk to you all day, man. Thank you so much for spending your time here with us and answering
Absolutely.
your questions. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for tuning in with us. It is with you that this whole thing happens, and it is for you. So please keep coming back. We've got a lot of cool streams. We're streaming every day this week as part of the KitBash3d Festival. Tomorrow, we've got the one and only Emmanuel Shu. Speaking of favorite childhood books, Emmanuel just posted some work he did on Ready Player One, which I did not get to read as a child because I was older, but it's literally one of the coolest books in the history of the world,
God.
I think.
That book is awesome.
I am on radio silent about the trailer, but I'm looking forward to talking to him about that tomorrow. And then we've got Justin Goby Fields and Derek Zabraki capping out our week. Nick, we would love to have you back, and we'd love to do this again. If the audience, if you guys want these to keep going, please let us know. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Reach out to us. We would love to continue interfacing with you. There's nothing cooler than being able to talk to you guys in real time and hearing what's interesting to you. And from that, I know I learn, and it's possible even Nick does too.
Yes. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. It's only because of you we do this. So thanks for all the questions and chiming in. Thanks everyone at KitBash3d. Go buy the products. They're awesome. You can see what we can do with them in just 20 minutes of me fumbling around. And thanks everyone at Learn Squared for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you, Learn Squared. Thank you, Learn Squared. All right, Nick, 15, all caps. It will be available for another 10 minutes on the clock.
Go get your kid on, everybody. And I'm going to save this scene and hopefully finish it one day. So if you see it, coming up on my page. You'll know where it came from, where it started.
Be sure to follow Nick on social. His feed is rocking. All right. See y'all later.
See you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.